I'm live. All right, YouTube. All right. So if y'all want to come join me over at YouTube, come over to YouTube and join me. Uh Let me send you guys that link. Come on in my chat room. But I really want y'all on Skype because kind of get sick of people being scared. And people like to come and type shit in the chat room and don't want to get up here and actually talk to you. So let's go. Hit that YouTube link. Let's see who. I just see these girls going crazy over Beasley. But that's what black women do, though. Long as it's a select guy, they go crazy over. Come on, y'all. Goddamn. Anybody gonna come in the chat room? I can't even see in my chat room on YouTube. What happened? All right, I can see now. Will I get in trouble? Hold on. I don't want NE to be let me stop that. Okay, let me stop that. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube or Facebook. Ain't nobody in here on Facebook. Come on, YouTube. Come on, YouTubians. YouTubians. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the YouTube algorithm. YouTubian says Dr. Umar Johnson. It's too many YouTubians. Come on, Facebook. Where y'all at? God damn, y'all. For all y'all to be writing stuff in the chat room, won't y'all get on here? Facebook. I mean, YouTube, Skype. Come on. It's an open discussion, too. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. I don't know. Come on. All right. YouTube's up and going, too. Come on, man. I ain't got all night. Ain't nobody coming in my YouTube. Who else live right now on YouTube? See, I got YouTube and Facebook open, but I'm also looking at YouTube and Facebook because I kind of want to see who's in my chat room. Who's live right now? Edward Anderson is live. Oh, Miss Elite is live. Oh, Jesus. Let's see what my brother said. Why can't I see? Here, but you gotta pull your. Go ahead. Hold on. I hate that. I hate that feature. Yeah. Come on, man. God damn. Come on, bring your scary asses. Even when I have open discussions, you don't want to bring your scary asses up here. But y'all got so much shit to talk in the comment section. Shit, we ain't even gotta argue. Shit, we could just laugh and joke. Shit. I'm not really in an argumentative type of mood right now. And I got a bunch of people on Facebook. Ain't nobody in here. Now, if I was talking about a twerk contest or a relationship, niggas always want to talk about relationships when it's dumb shit. But you start actually having some hard hitting questions for women when it comes to relationships. They don't want to talk about that though. I'm like, you got all that mouth when we talking about dumb shit like who could get the best head or what's the best position or some dumb shit. I am actually talking about. I'm actually talking about saving our fucking race. Niggas don't want to talk about that though. Or what is interracial dating ever done for black people? Niggas don't want to talk about that. If it's some dumb shit like, oh, I had sex randomly yesterday, they want to talk about that stupid shit though. Let's see. Um, yeah, my brother keep sending me messages, but I can't find them. What the fuck? Fuck is going on? Everybody's popping up. I can't see none of his messages. This is some crazy shit, man. And then this messenger thing ain't shit showing up on here. Let me close this down. Oh my god. Man, why? Why? Man, God, stop it. Please stop. Stop the fucking twerking, man. This shit's whack. Stop. This shit's almost retarded at this point. Stop. I don't want to see no other bitch twerk. God damn. Shit. Be a woman for once. God, every time I turn on Facebook and Instagram and not MySpace. Ooh. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just ass and titties, ass and titties. Ain't nothing wrong with that because I'm a heterosexual male, but god damn, man. Do these bitches even know how to have even know how to have a conversation anymore? Yeah, he told me his 14 terabyte hard drive. I'm like, what the hell you going? But he puts all his movies on drives, not DVDs. He don't do no more DVDs. They too hard to transfer. Like if you gotta relocate to another city or state, you gotta move all them DVDs. So he just puts all his movies on drives. So even though that sounds like a lot of terabytes, I don't know how long that's gonna last. Because the rate he's going, shit, he might have to get about 3 more of them. But let me say this: I put a large percentage of DVD. I put about 140, 130 to 145, 150 DVDs on 2 terabytes. So let's just say you could get about 130 on 2 terabytes. So let's add that up. So if he got 14, so he gonna be able to get down there 2,000 movies on that at least. He should get about 1,800 movies on there. That's a lot of movies. Most people don't have no damn 1,800 movies. That's a lot of movies, and I got a lot of movies. I ain't got nowhere near no 1,800. So it's gonna take a while. 1,800 movies is a lot. So he should be able to get about 1,800 per 14 terabytes. Okay, so I spent the last 11 minutes doing nothing. So what I'm gonna do, check in on some of these other lives. Oh boy, she just doing a live on this shit. Oh God.
Okay. Brothers and sisters, we've been talking a long time about this attack. The New World Order attack against the children of Israel. Now, a few examples in battles that I've witnessed for the last couple of months, within the last year. The first thing I've witnessed, a young man in the state of Ohio who was forced to eat a pepperoni pizza, right? By his coaches. Leading to litigation. The young man ended up suing. The coaches were fired. Brothers and technical issues right now. Let me make sure you all can hear us. 1, 2. I can't hear you. All right, hit the like button. It's going to be very, very informative.
So until y'all get ready to come on in, I'm gonna let y'all listen to this.
One moment. Hit the like button. This mic. All right, we're good. All right, we're good. Brothers and sisters, there's a lot going on in the earth right now, as you all can apparently see. There's an obvious drive. Okay, thank you. There's a clear drive now aimed towards our children. I don't know if you've noticed it.
Yeah, I have.
Check 1, 2. Initially, brothers and sisters,
They tried to come at us.
When this thing first came out, the media was driving this more so towards the elderly and those with comorbidity issues, right? And then after that, they began to move the proverbial the proverbial steps from one step to the next step, right? They moved from the elderly to the general population. It was elderly, comorbidity, check. General population, check. And brothers and sisters, I told you all last year that they're going to use this campaign to eventually aim towards the children by the time, that's right, the new school year began. I said it just like this. Why? I saw the media going into stories about the children halfway through their campaign, claiming that children are contemplating suicide, they miss their friends. And then I started seeing CNN and others play these stories well before the summer started. And, and that tipped me off. At that point, I began to realize, I'm like, you know what? They're ramping up for the school season. This is a campaign that's going to be aimed towards our children. Now, what don't you all know concerning this, brothers and sisters? Well, this is what you don't know. When you get an opportunity, brothers and sisters, under the Obama administration, and I think I'm going to pull this out in my check-in broadcast this coming Friday. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in a moment. During the Obama administration, brothers and sisters, under the Sandy Hook laws, okay, when they said Adam Lanza came out and shot some children, that you all know the story. Okay, I'm not even going to go into the story, but all in all, there was a lot of laws passed during that particular scenario or event. Okay, and those laws, brothers and sisters, let me tell you, folks, under the state of an emergency, to be clearly, under a state of emergency, if something happens, the state can do what? That's right, the state can move your children to a safe facility under any state of an emergency, and those laws were passed after Sandy Hook. So we thought it would be more so for, a mass shooting. A mass shooting, the parents would say, well, of course, if something happens where a crazed gunman comes in, listen, the school must be well equipped to get my children into a safe space to avoid the tragedy that happened back there, understandably so. But when you look at these laws, brothers and sisters, and I'm going to be covering these laws this coming Friday. If something happened under a state of emergency, the state have the right to go in and do what? Move our children into a safe facility under an emergency. I'm going to leave it there. That's the most I can say right now. Why? Well, it so happened, brothers and sisters, that we're under a state of emergency now. We're under a state of emergency. Now, it's not Adam Lanza, but it's still a state of an emergency. So that's the most I can put out there.
Right.
Tying 2 and 2 together on why they're now aiming this campaign towards children. That's the most I can say. I need to put it out there. Why? School season is on the horizon, and brothers and sisters, I think this word is apropos. The news is going to have a full court press aimed towards the children with this campaign. And I believe, and as this broadcast go further, you're going to understand why I said that, it's apropos that I use the phrase full court press. Okay. So a lot of laws was passed during that event, and under that event, now the state have full authority within the United States, when the United States is under a state of an emergency, to move our children to safety. Okay, we'll put it that way. They can come come in and move out, and then, and then tell the parents later. Okay, they don't have to call the parents first. Move your children and then tell you later, okay, under this law. And I'm going to be going over that law and more with our Patreon check-ins that we'll be doing Friday, starting this Friday, 1 p.m. Friday. That's right. That's right. Starting this Friday for our Patreon members, because there's a lot of things we can't say on this platform. Patreon has less stringent rules because why? You're speaking to a controlled or a membership following opposed to the general population. So Patreon has less draconian restrictions. Okay, so I'm going to be able to go over some of those details and more on Patreon this coming Friday between 1 and 2 p.m. It's a call-in show where we talk to each other. It's a Mark of the Beast report, episode 3, that I can only do on Patreon to start building the content over there. I need a place where I can speak freely, okay? So we'll be starting that this coming Friday. Now, jumping right in. Elder Lawyer, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. I can't complain at all. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. It seems like your sound is cutting on and in and out. I don't know. You probably, why don't you move the microphone closer to you?
Okay.
Move the microphone close, because I think the cardioid cuts off, and in the diaphragm it cuts off.
Okay.
Unless you're close to it. Yeah. All right. Lawyer, there's a lot happening, and I don't know if you heard about the settlement that happened with the brother in Colorado.
No, sir.
The brother Kawak. I had him on the phone earlier, but it seems he's there, but I think something is going on with his phone, so I can't bring him in. Let's see. But brothers and sisters, I need y'all to check this out. Brother Kawak, a brother that's been following the church for a long time, he was actually scheduled for an interview tonight. He was scheduled for an interview, all right? And it took us 2 hours to actually begin this broadcast due to the technical issues on his side with the computers. I've never experienced anything like this before, Lawyer. I've never experienced anything like this before. The other week I was dealing with the check-in. We had an impromptu show, Skype went, and Blog Talk went the same time. The brother Kawak tried to get in through Zoom, through the computer. Then he tried to get in through other ways. Now he's on through the phone, and there's still an issue.
Wow.
Folks, let me tell you, something is going on with these computers. All right? Something is going on with these computers, okay? One moment. One moment here. I apologize, brothers and sisters. There's a lot of technical issues going on here. I do apologize. One moment. A lot of technical issues. Bear with us.
Please leave your message for 719.
Please bear with us here. Brother Kawak, are you there?
719.
Con, I'm here. I'm here now.
Okay. This is what I need you to do. Everything, I need you to turn everything off, please. Everything. Nothing playing in the background. Everything off.
Got it.
Okay. You can hear me clearly, correct?
Con.
Oh, thank the Most High. All right. Do not mute your phone, young man. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm building this thing as we fly, so hold on. Hold on. All right. We're good. Yes. Okay, we're good. Thank you. All right. Brothers and sisters, we're going to jump right in. Jumping right in now, okay? Thank the Most High. Elder Lawyer, I'll pull you in after the interview with the brother, okay? I'll pull you in after the interview, so hold tight. Okay. Brothers and sisters, we've been talking a long time about this attack, the New World Order attack against the children of Israel. Now, a few examples in battles that I've witnessed for the last couple of months, within the last year. The first thing I've witnessed, a young man in the state of Ohio who was forced to eat a pepperoni pizza, right? By his coaches, leading to litigation. The young man ended up suing. The coaches were fired because why? They were trying to force this young man to eat pork, swine against his religious beliefs. Why? To lash out at the brother's beliefs. Lashing out at him for being an Israelite. Okay? Lashing out at him. Now, why? Because the young man was very, let me tell you something about this young man. He was quite a gentleman, very respectful, respected amongst his peers, and influential. And the last thing I've just said is the reason they were trying to do what? They were trying to break this young man so that he wouldn't have no influence amongst his teammates, well respected. Well, the coaches were fired. Now, a lot of that, the litigation is still out there, but brothers, this is what y'all don't know. Israelites are being attacked on every level. For what? Just for practicing their right, their religious right as Israelites. This has been going on for a while, folks. Behind closed doors, our children, brothers and sisters that work at certain jobs, the workplace, I'm gonna tell you, in school, at functions, every place Israelites are being attacked. Not because they're leading, and these people are not leading as Israelites. They're not leading with, I'm an Israelite. It's because these people who are Israelites do not deal or abstain from certain activities of the world. So this is why I'm bringing this brother on today, because he has a story. And this particular story, brothers and sisters, dovetails what's going on, that's right, with sports teams within the United States as we speak. Why there's stringent rules put on these teams, these players now, where now, instead of it being a cold or a disease, this campaign they're using is more so leverage to be used in contracts to reprimand players. That's right. Who are woke, who has awakened to the knowledge that we're Israelites, folks. This has nothing to do with a cold. It has nothing to do with, the thing in the arm. It has everything to do with corporate leverage against those who can see. Which leads me to this particular article. There's the brother I'm going to introduce to you. His name is Kawak. Okay, Kawak, tell the brothers and sisters your world name.
My name is Trey Harris.
Brother Trey Harris, you got to speak up just a little bit more, brother. Go ahead. Tell them your name.
Sorry. My name is Trey Harris.
The brother name is Trey Harris. How old are you?
I'm 34 years old.
34 years old. Now tell the brothers and sisters about yourself. Tell them about yourself. What do you do? Introduce yourself to the listening audience of the Gathering of Christ Church.
I'm a basketball trainer here in Colorado, and I run a club program around the states. So that's what I do for a living, and I'm a fitness coach as well.
A fitness coach. Now,
correct.
How long have you been in this particular sector as far as training children, coaching, basketball camps, mentoring? How long have you been doing that?
It's going on my 10-year reunion here pretty soon in November. So we're doing it for 10 years. 10 years.
And exactly what you do in your involvement with the youth. Exactly what you do. Talk to the people.
So what I do is if you have a son or a daughter and that's interested in getting involved with basketball, whether they're coming in at an intermediate level, all the way up to the pros, I tighten their skills up. That's what I typically do for my main job. Then we started club teams, and then we started adding nutrition plans and things of that nature. So if you have kids that are interested in getting involved with basketball, want to go to college to play at the collegiate level, they would come through our program.
Okay, so you have a program that helps children cultivate, young athletes cultivate their skill as far as to advance towards the pro level.
Correct. Yeah.
To advance
so that's
towards
what,
the pro level. Okay. Now,
yeah.
When I first heard this truth, I didn't know initially that you were. When I found out about this, it interests me because years ago at the Passover, brother, at the Passover you came to me, and you said that what this was 2015.
It was 2017, I believe. It was when we was in Augusta, Georgia. So I think that was 17 Passover.
Okay. 2017, the brother came. Okay, 2017. And you told me that you were working with students who children that may go to the pro level.
Correct. I had two prospects that were that had a chance, and I just know we were getting a lot of attention in our state and nationally. We had two top 100 high school kids, so that's kind of why I came to you. And those kids were really interested in what I was talking about outside of the court.
Okay.
As far as just the truth and things of that nature, we would have those conversations with a couple of these kids, trying to get them ready for what they would see in college, trying to let them know to abstain from certain things their freshman years and not commit any moral mistakes. So that's kind of the path we were going on. And they were these two individuals in specific were more interested than most.
Okay, well, jumping right in, because this broadcast, I'm going to use this as one of many examples that I'm going to present this evening. Okay.
Yeah.
New World Order against Israel. You heard about the story about the young man who was singled out and reprimanded in Ohio. And through this reprimand, his coaches forced him to eat a pepperoni pizza to embarrass him, right? To embarrass him.
I remember that.
You remember that story? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened with that story? I'm going to go into that in a moment. Do you know that they fired the people who were involved, and that is still litigation out there, right? Now, during that same time period, brother, if you can remember, right? I had a broadcast when we were talking about Nick Cannon.
Yeah, I remember.
Right? Nick Cannon came out, said that he knew that we were Israel. Deshaun Jackson, Philadelphia Eagle, came out and said that he was an Israelite. And then next thing you know, there was some pushback with that. Ice Cube went online and put out some Russian icons. No, matter of fact, these were some Egyptian carvings in caves showing that the true Israel, or the Israelites were black. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Well, there's a few questions I would like to ask you, but before that, let me share the article and we'll work our way back, okay? We'll work our way back. All right. Here's the article, brothers and sisters. And I made sure that I spoke with the brother first before presenting this particular story, but his lawyers and others say that we can now talk about it. Jury awards basketball coach Trey Harris some money.
A lot of money.
At this time, it says 2.5.
Dang.
In racial discrimination case versus CHSAA. How many of y'all knew about this story, brothers and sisters? Now, if this would have been an LGBTQ discrimination, okay, that story would have been Plastic International. But no one heard anything about this award, this settlement. Jury awards basketball coach Trey Harris, who we have on the phone right now, from Denver. Let me read the article. A Colorado Springs man won a settlement, 2.5 mil judgment against the state's high school sports organization on Wednesday. A jury determined William Trey Harris was the victim of racial discrimination when he was fired from his assistant coach position at Sand Creek High School in 2017. Judge R. Brooke Jackson, following the jury's direction, ordered the Colorado High School Activities Association to pay $200,000 for economic damages caused by the discrimination, $1.3 million for non-economic damages caused by the discrimination, and $1 million for punitive damages. Now, punitive damages are a monetary penalty designed to punish the actions of a defendant. Now, according to court, let me move this out of the way here, folks. Move this out of the way. According to court documents, Harris was an assistant coach on Sand Creek High School boys basketball team during the 2016-17 season. In December of that season, as the team's success, it says, buoyed hopes of an appearance in the state playoffs, the team's then head coach, Robert Hawkins, attempted to add another player. This player, identified as RM in the court documents, was a senior from another school who hoped to transfer to the Sand Creek program. Court's documents describe a conversation between the CHSAA Commissioner Paul Angelico and then Sand Creek Athletic Director Jared Felice about Coach Hawkins' interest in the RM's transfer. As stated in the document, Angelico suggested to Felice that a special exemption to the transfer rule would allow the player to practice with the team. Felice, however, misinterpreted the conversation to indicate the player could also play in varsity games. Upon the advice of Felice, his school's athletic director, Coach Hawkins, put the player in a varsity game. It's more so focusing on the player, right? And not Trey Harris on purpose, folks. Listen to this. CHSAA representatives were made aware of the eligible player's violation. The court documents indicate Felice then sent a letter to CHSAA, a letter which Assistant Coach Harris had no knowledge of, falsely claiming that RM had been recruited to the team by Harris. CHSAA, by law, do not allow a transferred player to follow coach to another team. Harris had established himself years earlier as a trainer for up-and-coming basketball players. And this is the issue, folks. Trey had the brother I have on the phone had serious influence on players who were high pro prospects. But the court documents state that Harris, when told by the Coach Hawkins that RM would be transferring, did not approve the move, nor playing RM in games. Harris told investigators he felt adding RM to the team was unfair to the current members of the team. Now, I'm going to ask you, Kawhi, I'm going to ask you, Mr. Harris, in this article, does it say anything about them discriminating against you for being an Israelite?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. That was by design.
Hold up. No. Listen, brother. This is why I'm asking you. If you notice in the article, brothers and sisters, they left out key details on purpose.
Yeah.
They would make you believe that this was a racial discrimination case based on him being a black man. Lying through omission. So, Brother Harris, first and foremost, you had influence on upcoming pro prospects, players that the pros are looking at now, or well, back then, right? Black and white players. Now, let me ask you, just interviewing, how did those players feel about you?
No, it was, I could still play the game. So I was like a big brother, you know what I mean? So I was a big role model to a lot of the players. They could relate to me. So, we were really close. We would text message, and I would hang out with a lot of these kids off the court too. So it was like a big brother relationship. Okay,
now, did you lead with yourself being an Israelite, or was it more so leading by example, living as one, following the law, statutes, and commandments? Did you lead? Did you tell the players, okay, I'm an Israelite? How did this happen? How did this happen, brother, where those on the outside looking in deemed you a threat?
It was really just leading by example, side conversations after practice, different things the team was doing that I wasn't partaking in. So it started there. It started with pledging allegiance to the flag. I wouldn't kneel or anything. I would put my hands behind my back, and I would be subtle, but someone noticed and said, why don't you ever put your hand over your heart? Why don't you pledge your allegiance? So it started with questions like that. And so I would read them stories. I read them like Daniel chapter 2. I would go into dietary laws, even outside of outside of the Bible, I would go into scientific facts about why we don't eat certain foods or why I don't eat certain foods. So, you know, kids started taking heed to that because they were young athletes. So they would go home and tell their parents like, hey, I don't want to eat certain foods anymore. So one of the parents called me and was like, hey man, you made me take out dang near half of my refrigerator. I had to clean out half my refrigerator because my son won't eat anything that we're cooking for dinner. But, you know, in return, like certain parents, like their whole household changed their diet. So now, they're like, well, my son won't eat it.
Okay, now were these just black players or white players also beginning to follow the dietary laws?
Yeah, no, they were majority of the clients that I have, you know, being in the state that I'm in, they're Gentiles. So
when you say Gentiles, what color? They're white
players.
Like, okay,
yeah, they're majority white players.
So let me set the stage for the people because there's a lot we want to actually, you know, go into. You had white players beginning to follow the law, statutes, and commandments written of in the Bible, right?
Correct. Yeah.
They stopped eating pork, shrimp, crab, lobster. Now, that's just the dietary part. Let's talk about the morality portion, because I know growing up playing sports, there was always an unspoken conversation about teams going out, dealing with girls and all those things.
Yeah.
How did you impact those children from the morality standpoint? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Go ahead.
No, that was always the base of our conversations. As the young man started filling out and girls started coming to the game, so I'd never allowed females to come to our practices. You know, I would warn them about there's different soul ties that you can get by dealing with a bunch of females, especially in the youth. So that was kind of the main base with that, you know. So they started taking heed to it, so they wouldn't have certain conversations around me, and they wouldn't bring girls. So that was kind of the biggest thing. So the parents loved it, and you know, and when they look at it, you know, the parents, they really couldn't say anything bad about what I was telling them to do. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't telling them like, yo, you gotta hurry up and get baptized right now. You know, I wasn't going there with them. I was still just, you know, just planting seeds because they were young. You know, they're 15, 16 years old. They're still trying to figure it out.
Okay, well, now hold up. Now, this is deep in of itself, right? Here it is.
Yeah.
You are training predominantly white children that colleges and pros are looking into as possible pro prospects, right? You're training them, you're getting them prepared to be able to, you know, to ace all the drills and get their body fit enough to inform to become pro basketball players. Now, of course, a key component comes around, you know, in school, because when it comes to sports, when it comes to school, there's certain events during holidays, right? You got Christmas, and usually teams get together and do things for Christmas with the parents and all that. They throw. How did you navigate through that? Because I believe that was a key. That was a key pivotal moment when the children began to renounce holidays. How did you navigate through that? And how did you navigate through that piece?
Yeah, I mean, that was, you know, that's always the hardest piece. You know, even still today, you know, it's still hard when it comes around at that time of year. But the way I did it, you know, I would still I wouldn't do any basketball camps. Like usually you can do like a Christmas camp around that time that the kids on break. I wouldn't do basketball camps. I would still just stay open for training, and I would stay open Christmas Day for training. So certain kids that quote unquote aren't religious, they would still come. So after I was doing that and the kids were still coming to all my training, some of the kids would come with gifts.
Okay.
And so once they would come with gifts, because, you know, they wanted to show their appreciation and things of that nature, the parents asked me, like, why don't you celebrate Christmas? Are you a Jehovah's Witness? So when I said, no, I don't celebrate Christmas for these reasons, you know, and then so I would give the parents the scripture, you know what I mean? I would give the parents the scripture And then I would tell them this is the reason why I don't do it. Because again, like I said before, I always thought that was just a weird, detailed scripture to have in the Bible. Like, this sounds just like, even if you're not religious, like if you're not religious, whatever the case, and you read that, you cannot say that this isn't a Christmas tree. So some of the responses I get would be like, oh, well, my tree's plastic. This ain't it. You know, that's not mine. So, but some of the kids will be listening, and then the kids will go home, and now research is readily available. They'll go home and look it up on their phones. So now the next question that they would ask me, well, what holidays do you celebrate? And then I would have those conversations after that. But certain kids did not want to, they didn't want to partake in Christmas anymore. Mostly everybody stopped celebrating Halloween, because that was like, everybody stopped doing that. Because I'll be going in on the Halloween, you know, I don't really, that's like the safe holiday. You can clearly see what's going on. So, I mean, I just started kind of just creating like a little small convictions here and there with the parents and with the players. And, you know, again, some would come around and some would ask questions and some wouldn't. You know, some people would go away and some people would stay. So, but I mean, the clientele kept growing. A lot of people, they were like, man, I like what you're doing. It's something different. And my son's not doing blah, blah, blah anymore. So it kind of kept them coming, to be honest.
So you mean to tell me the children became better?
Yeah.
They became they became better what? They became better students. They became better people. A matter of fact, how they interact with their parents. We were talking about that. You know, how the parent came to you. Your parents come to you and was thanking you for how respectful their children have become under your tutelage.
Yeah. And the main thing I would get back, the feedback I would get back, is really just the mindfulness. You know, basically the scriptures call it discernment. So kids will start being more discerning in their situation, in their environment. So one kid had a situation where his friends wanted him to do something and he didn't do it. And the mom would call me like, yeah, man, he had a chance to do X, Y, and Z, and you know, he didn't do it, and he told me like, hey, you posted something or you said something to him and to watch out for this, and he seen the situation. That kid, he moved away, but he was one of the kids, again, a little white kid, man, and he just listened to everything I said, and he just graduated high school. You know what I'm saying? He just graduated high school, and he still never slept with a girl. I said, like, look, man, if you just wait until you find the right one. Why? You know, why not? You know, so and he still has his
purity,
his little purity, you know. So, and that's always, you know, it's cool to see, you know, just to kind of see it working like that and manifesting. So, and there's just ways to do it. There's ways to talk to people that I've had to learn. You know, I got this understanding in 2015, but there's ways I have to be about it, especially dealing with a lot of people that aren't Israelites, but they still, you know, because of these people, I'm in a good position to even better the Israelite community, because a lot of them can't afford it. So now that I have a community that can, they're on board with me bringing on kids that can, and those kids that can't typically look like me. So it's just coming around full circle, man.
Well, okay, well, listen, it's starting to get good, right? Because, hey, folks, hit the like button. It's about to get good because we're about to go into the juicy part of this, right? Feathers have been ruffled here, right? And there's some people in high positions keying on you. Now, hold up. The children have become better at their quote unquote skill of basketball under him. They become better people because of him. And I'm gonna tell you, and let me tell you, and as a teenager, you're being pulled in so many different directions. Peer pressure from those around you, the pressure that comes from your parents, and not wanting to disappoint others around you. And now they have a guide that they could come to. Through all that pressure, they would come to this brother, and this brother would bring forth scripture to have them solve everyday issues. And their parents started to recognize that. And why did I wanted to have this interview? And it took me an hour and a half to get this broadcast together, folks. I mean, I'm talking about technical issues and all that, but I said, you know what? That's the devil. We want to fight through because the people need to hear this. Anytime we hear about an Israelite that's in Christ, it's something negative the media puts out there on purpose to give the truth, the awakening, a negative connotation. Let me show y'all something. This brother sent me this, right? I am that I am basketball. This is what this brother uses in his camps with the children. And when they ask him about the Most High's name, he says, Ahia. He says, it's in the Bible. Not once did he leave with that he's a part of any Israelite or gathering of Christ church. Here's the perfect example of a man who leads with what? The application of what he have learned. A respectful young man who's what? Making all those around him better. Look at this. Brother, thank you for this. I got more. The brother came bearing gifts. Right? Now, the name of your organization, there's an acronym. What's the name of your organization? Pluto? What does it mean?
Yeah, Pluto. It stands for Players Like Us Take Over. So
players like us take over. Look at this. All the kids running around with backpacks that says, I am that I am. Tell me the truth isn't serious. Look at this. Players like us take over. Now, so folks, let me tell you, the synagogue of Satan cannot escape the awakening. They're getting it at the top amongst the pros, and they're getting it, that's right, even from the youth.
A black man, a father,
who are learning, that's going into the sports arena, that's going into entertainment, the next world's influences. These people know. And one thing I know about the truth, once you receive the truth, there's no undoing it.
Legit.ng.
That's what makes the truth the truth. Okay? Once these kids see, I don't care what happens, there's no unseeing it. And the synagogue of Satan understands this. And this is why they're using this quote unquote Dovik 91 in reverse, I'm gonna call it that, campaign as leverage to move any people with influence that's strong-minded with the truth out of the way. We're about to get into some good stuff now, Kawak. His name is Kawak, but we're gonna call him Trey for the sake of this interview real quick, right? So some feathers have been ruffled and people are eyeing your influence on these children. So obviously some people came together and conspired to get you out of the way. Tell brothers and sisters how that went. How did it lead into you being fired?
Well, I mean, a couple things happened that led up to it. But once that student transferred, once a student transferred over, you know what I mean, it was like a lot of these gentlemen who I've never met before. They started going to my website. They started pulling pictures down from my website, and then they came up with this like conspiracy or this plan to pin all these actions on me. So after that happened, I was banned from being at the school, and they told me if I ever showed up on campus that they were going to call the cops on me. So so they started using the fear, and at first, I was just real passive with it, like it is what it is. I just kind of just left it alone.
Hold up. They're asking in the chat your website. Because of
Pluto
course,
basketball, PlutoBasketball.com.
PlutoBasketball.com. PlutoBasketball.com. Okay. Players like us take over. Oh, so okay. So people in key political positions, we're not going to name those positions, right? We're talking about politicians. We have politicians, high school administrators, as well as the coach, some of the coaches colluding to get you out of the way. Discuss how that happened.
Yeah, they well, I mean, I didn't really find out until, like, you know, I went through this whole process. You know, I didn't know things were going on like that. But then after, when I found out, like, I was actually told by one of my close friends to get a lawyer. And so, you know, I never did that before. You know, like I said, we're real passive. We kind of don't know a lot about the remedies that's going on.
Okay,
so
real quick, we got almost 4,000 people in. Please hit the like button. And for those who missed the part before, you know, here it is, a brother who's been learning under the church for years, leading with the truth, not with I'm an Israelite, but he's treating people as Christ would have treated them, and became a serious influencer. He had an influence on these kids who were pro prospects. So to get in front of it, what happened? Some politicians and others worked to get this brother out of the way. This should have made national news. Jury awards basketball coach we have on the phone, Trey Harris, 2.5 mil in racial discrimination case, right? For those who missed it, he's on the phone now. He grew up learning under the Gathering of Christ Church for what? For the last 7-8 years, Trey?
Yeah.
Now, they purposely, the synagogue of Satan, purposely let out that the discrimination had nothing to do with his color. It was the fact that he knew that he was Israel. And you know, they thought that they would actually leave that out to lie by omission, to make everyone believe he's being, that's right, rewarded for racial discrimination. They like that black racial component because why? That's a narrative that they can steer in their favor. They control the black-white racial narrative. So they want people who read this news article to believe that a black man was discriminated against for being black. Not being honest. The synagogue of Satan knew that all of these powerful people colluded against this young man because he knew he was an Israelite. And conveniently left that out. But guess what? The judge ruled in this brother's favor. Twice in 1 year, we've seen this happen, you know, in the sports sector, where they're trying to ostracize those who know they're Israelites. Folks, let me tell you, the Most High is doing something in this earth. Brother Trey, I need you to pick up from where you left off at, but I just needed to real quick update the brothers and sisters who came in late, okay, to let people know who we have on the phone today. Trey, jump right in and tell me who came to you and dismissed you for your services, or who fired you, and why did they say you, and why did they say you were getting fired?
Yeah, they pulled me. Like I got a phone call after 2 weeks. I was being told, or 3 weeks, I was told to stay away from the kids. I couldn't come to games. I was literally banned. I got a phone call, and I was told to come to a meeting. So I came to a meeting one morning, and there was two gentlemen I've never met sitting in there, and they were over the entire district, I guess, and the government that runs all the school districts. And they were like, hey, you know, we just want to get back in the playoffs. We're on restriction, and we unfortunately have to let you go, and we have to depart from you employment-wise. And that's all they said. So once he said that, I said, well, for what reason? For what reason? What reason? And he was like, well, you know, all these kids, they made, like, once I was fired, these kids, they started doing protests. And they were just kind of like, yo, we got to get Trey back here. We got to get Trey back. So one of my other friends, I guess, who worked in the office, heard a lot of the conversation and came to me with this is when I found out. He came to me with the conversation and said, hey, look, you're getting fired because you're an Israelite. He's like, I don't think, he said, this is why they're firing you. He was like, this is what's going on. He was like, he brought up situations that happened. And so he was just like a fly on the wall, and he heard it. And once he heard it, I was like, man, you know what I'm saying? So that's when I got a lawyer, and I was like, hey, this is the situation. So once you go deeper into it, like a lot of this stuff wasn't really being said on purpose. So they were just kind of all looking at each other like, well, you tell them why you fired. No, you tell them why you fired. No, you tell them why you got fired. Like nobody would say what it was. So we knew the reason why it was, but nobody wanted to say why it was. So the judge was sitting there like, I don't know nothing. I'm just here I'm on neutral ground. Why did y'all fire her? So and then my friend, he's in the NBA now. He's high up in the NBA. So he wrote on his shoes one day, I am that I am. Whoa. When he wrote that on his shoes, those are his game shoes still to this day. So hold
up, stop this. Stop the presses. Stop it. I'm going to show you how powerful the Most High is, right? Now, someone that's in the NBA already, right? Because of his connection with you, he began to write, I am that I am on his shoe. Don't put out the player's name. But folks, I'm gonna tell you right now, folks. When teams get together, when players get together, there's only a few people on the team. It becomes a brotherhood. And they discuss, and teams, they become a brotherhood. They discuss everything. Girlfriends, what's going on with the parents, all of that. It becomes a social circle in of itself. And now you got players in the NBA with I am that I am, and they write that on their sneakers, folks. And one thing about the truth, when the Most High put his spirit out there, it begins to spread like wildfire. And this is what the enemy feared. So all of a sudden now, they have a convenient way of leveraging against players without it being deemed discrimination. Oh yeah, it seemed like your test came up negative. We'd have to separate you and quarantine you in a room for 14 days because you've been a bad boy. Oh, no, you got to get the stuff, okay? That's what you do. You got to get the stuff. Why? To show your allegiance with the team, because the team may lose their shot at winning a championship because of you. Turning the players against each other over something that have nothing to do with sports. This whole campaign, folks, that's out there right now is business leverage. You think they're not seeing what's going on with Trey? What happened with the pepperoni pizza? You think they're not tying this all together and realize that the next generation of athletes will be woke athletes? And not just black athletes, folks. White athletes are coming to the truth of the Most High in Christ according to what? According to the true ministry. They come into the full understanding of what a pre-Constantine Israelite looks like. Here we go. All right, brother. Now, real quick. Let's go back to someone close to you or someone overheard them saying, we need to get rid of him because he's an Israelite.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, The children are throwing out pork, shrimp, crab, and lobsters, right? They're not going out giving their bodies to everyone. They're more sound. They're operating morally, respecting their parents. And here it is, you're not having church. You're leading by example. And by leading by example, they're following your lead. They started to realize that you didn't do certain things on Saturday. Let's talk about that real quick. How they inquired, the children begin to inquire to why you don't operate like everyone else on Saturday. We left that piece out. Put that out there real quick before you go back. And then I need you to segue into the court portion. What did the judge say? I need you to go there, but let's go into when the children realized something was going on with you and the Sabbath.
So, Saturday's a big day for training. Everybody's off, so I don't train on Saturday. I cut my phone off, my gym's closed. Nothing goes on with me on Saturday.
Okay.
So someone asked me, was like, man, like, are you off on Saturday? Like, can we come in and do these workouts or those workouts? And I was like, no, it's Sunday. Sunday I'll be back in there at 8 a.m. So they're like, oh, well, that's our, we have church. So, what do you, is there any way we can go on Saturday? And I was like, well, I have church on Saturday.
Oh.
So it's kind of like, so once that was like both put on the table, so you'll have just a typical conversation like, well, Sabbath is this, Sabbath is that. So we'll have those conversations. But once I wasn't open, and I have a lot of kids that train. So once I wasn't open on Saturday, it kind of forced everybody to kind of get on my schedule. So, and the thing is, I mean, Chick-fil-A do it on Sunday and nobody be complaining.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I'm about to go ahead and take today off, and I take it off, I cut my phone off, and I just chill.
Hey, Trey.
Okay,
hey, Trey. Okay. Just if you had to guess, right? If you had to put a percentage on the number of pro players, specifically in the NBA right now, who know the truth concerning our people being the children of Israel, because you worked close to them from high school, all the, just training them up from their youth, preparing them as prospects for the pros, right? With pro connections. If you had to put a percentage on that and say, well, I believe this how many people percentage wise know that we are the children of Israel in the NBA, what would that number be?
To actually know, I probably would say I know for sure about 40 players that actually know, and they're in the league now, and they actually know. So I probably would say. Hold
on. You say you know personally 40 players, NBA players who are on teams now, who know that we're the children of Israel.
That I've had conversations with personally.
Whoa.
So, I mean, some of those conversations I've had, like, players been putting me on stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, they'll tell me about certain things, and they'll spark conversations with me, so, and there's a high collegiate athletes, that's playing now that know, and they'll still send me articles online and different things of that nature. So a lot of the players, when they come to me, it's not really strictly just for basketball. They'll just have biblical questions. And again, if I could answer them, I would. But we have a lot of those conversations with kids since they were young. Just because of the position that I was in. So I mean, it was unreal. One year it was 5 out of the top 10 draft picks.
Okay, hold up. You said a few years ago it was 5 out of the top. Out of the top 10 picks. I think you're hinting. We're not going to say what year, but you're hinting off.
Yeah.
You're hinting to.
Yeah, just having a top 10 draft pick understand this is crazy.
Okay, well, what about without saying his name? Yeah. To Zion, I'm on my knees. to Zion. Could it be? Could it be to Zion? Zion? Just putting it out there. Real quick. I'm going to leave that there. Real quick, my brother. So tell us, take us directly to, without pointing out the people, the positions people were in, orchestrating this firing. On what, how many people were working towards getting you out of the way and from influencing the next generation of basketball players over there?
It was 7. I think it was 7 individuals, seven white dudes.
In what
High
positions?
Up.
High up?
Like they were, I'm talking about they run everything that goes on athletically. They have a hand in anything that goes on, all 7 of them. They were they were just right there. And guys I've never met before.
Okay, now let's go to court now. Let's go to court. All right. When did you know the judge was going to rule in your favor?
I really didn't until the 5th day of our trial. You know, we were in trial 9 hours for 4 straight days, for 5 days. And it was like probably the 4th day, I started seeing the judge just confused on what was going on and why I was even in there. And so once he found out like what was actually happening, he was like, listen, I don't know what's going on, but you guys should have, basically you guys should have gave this man some remedy and went on about your lives. We shouldn't even be here. And but because they were so adamant about they didn't do anything and I didn't do anything, so we were all kind of just looking at each other, pointing the fingers, and this was happening for 4 or 5 years. And but I knew in the back of my mind what was going on. So the judge, after he was done, he was like, "Listen, I can't," because he didn't have any control over the ruling. We had a jury, so he was like, "If I was ruling this, I would have told you guys just to give him some money and let him go away." You know what I mean? But he's like, "But it's not my call. It's in the jury's hands." And so when the jury came back, they read off this verdict. I'm just laughing, and we had to have our mask on too, so nobody could see each other's faces. But everybody was kind of shocked, like, "Oh, well, gotta go." Like I just wanted my job back. To be honest.
You just wanted your job back, right?
Yeah.
But then it says jury awards basketball coach William Trey Harris, and eventually they settled outside of this, and of course both sides are happy with the settlement. But what I wanted to bring out, Trey, if I could, and I'm gonna let you have the last word. How the Bible says, even the Gentiles will entreat thee well in times of trouble. Because usually when one think about an Israelite, there's negative tied to it, right? That these are the people that's on the corner screaming, calling white people devils and all that, when really not. An Israelite is Christ. An Israelite is the disciples. And what I wanted to highlight your story, young man, and tell you how proud I am of you, walking, not just learning the word, but living the word and using the word to influence those around you, which this is what the truth is about. And I'm going to tell you this. I wanted to tell you that personally, because I met you years ago at the Passover, and you told me what you was going to do, and I'm like, well, okay, all right. But I talked to a lot of different people at the Passover, but brother, you were focused. Okay, you had a plan, and you are accomplishing that plan. And every person who lock arms with you or in your presence is influenced righteously, and that's what this church is about, and that's what your relationships exemplifies. So I wanted to put that out there as an example.
YouTube TV has no hidden fees and includes unlimited DVR. Try it free.
Walk with the truth.
We all shop online, right?
You
When
cannot
we do,
put
we always
the
see
light
that
under.
little promo code field at
You
checkout.
have to put your light on the top so that the world can understand. Without a
By golly, this is a special occasion today. We had the world heavyweight champion in here, Ric Flair, and now we've got the Southern heavyweight champ, Jerry the King Lawler, who's got that belt around that waist.
Yes, Lance, and it feels very, very good to hear
And
you
it
call me
wasn't
that
because he was
again. You know, I
preaching.
told you it was a big, the biggest match of
It's
my career
what?
last week, and I was fortunate
That's
enough.
right. It's that
come out
spirit, the
the new
influence
Southern
he
heavyweight
has on
champion.
those
Now, I want
around
to just
him.
come out here for a second for two reasons. First of all, to clear up all of this, I thought I was going to have to send you a shovel out here because it was getting pretty deep a few seconds
none
ago
of
with
them
Hart
could
out here
break
saying
the
that
tie
he
he
won
had
the
with
belt
these young
for
men.
me, and now
Why?
I see he's even got my cousin Carl
Because
out
it
here, and
was
he's probably
Christ.
got his head
The
a little
spirit
in the
of
going in the wrong direction, but
interacting
it'll only take me a few
with-
minutes
with-
to straighten that young man out.
Making
And
their
as far as
lives
Hart,
better.
As far as Hart thinking
And
that
this
he
is
ever
why,
won anything in his life,
Fox
he's
News,
sadly
CBS
mistaken.
News
I beat the
reported
man
on
with
this
very,
story. They
very
had
little
to.
help from Jimmy
And
Hart, I might add. He
conveniently
was
left
there
out
as a
Israelite.
diversion. But I
But
want
I'll
to
tell
make
you
this
this,
clear. You know, I had people
If it
telling
would
me
have
all
been
along,
something negative,
King, are you going into the
somebody-
first family? Are you teaming back up with Hart? Well, let me assure you that nothing was ever further from my mind because you see, I used Hart. I made a fool out of Hart. I used him. I won my Southern heavyweight title back. I'm the champion, and Hart's still running around the same little clown that he ever was. If he ever thought for 1 minute that I would take him back, the only way I told him that I would take him back as my manager was if he carried all my suitcases, did all my arrangements, and was just a general flunky, exactly like he was before when I first had him. That would be the only way. He expected me, Lance, to join the first family and be some first lieutenant or something like that. So I straightened him out real quick on that. Now, Hart, if you've got any other ideas about anything you ever wanted, business he wants to conduct with me, this is as close as you're going to get to me from now on, Hart. I want you to understand that, buddy. Just get within range, and I'm going to put this right upside your head. But enough about Hart, Lance.
Okay.
I want to. You're right. This is an exciting day. You know, I got here early. I was supposed to wrestle. I see. You know, they don't have my name on the list.
No, it's not.
They had me down against Pat Hutchison. Now, you and I know you could beat Pat Hutchison, couldn't you, Lance?
Hey, come on.
So I got dressed, and Eddie Marlin says, "You're wrestling Pat Hutchison?" I said, "Scratch me off the list." I said, "It's no use me even wasting my time." But I would like, before I leave today, I would like to have the opportunity to shake hands with Ric Flair, the world heavyweight champion.
You haven't
I see
met
that he's.
Rick before?
Oh, I just said I would like to shake hands with Ric Flair.
I see.
He's supposed to wrestle now. If you could go ahead and ring the bell, maybe I
yeah.
can just stay out here. And,
Okay, let me get around here, and we'll tap the bell, and we'll get the champion out here. Because he is, as a matter of fact, coming up in the next bout. He's going against young Rick McCord, and it'll be our first look at him.
He's
here.
obviously great, isn't he? I mean, you know, he sounded like he's full of confidence.
He is full of confidence.
He is the-
No question about it.
And there he is, right
Here he comes. The NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Ric Flair. Rick, can we get you, before you, Rick, can I get you to come over here just a moment?
Do you mind if I just want to talk to you for just a second, wish you well in your match, shake hands, and this kind of thing? You don't mind?
Rick,
Plenty of time for that.
okay, and I think, obviously, these two gentlemen know each other, the Southern Heavyweight Champion, Jerry Lawler, and Ric Flair, the World Heavyweight Champion.
Welcome you to this area. Come on. You know me as well as you know. Well, you don't know. But, we wrestled.
Unlock the front door.
Just a couple of weeks ago.
Introducing the challenger from
I mean, you know, I
Tennessee
understand
at
completely. He's
228
got the little
Jerry
smile
the
there. I know
King
Rick.
Lawler and the champion
Tennessee,
from Minneapolis, Minnesota, 240 pounds, Ric Flair. This is
professional wrestling at its best. But Jerry Lawler, I believe they call him the king over here in Memphis, is not going to take up any time of the world champions. You see, there's a lot of women in this audience over there that are dying for me to slide out of the $7,000 robe. So, Mr. Lawler,
when I get through with what's his name? Rick McCord. When I get through with Mr. McCord, I'll be back.
Well, let me say this now. It's all, you know, it's plain to see that you are here for one reason, and that is to impress all of these pretty women that you see sitting in the audience, and there are some pretty ones. You know, I heard you say that you had heard a lot about this area, about, you know, that maybe it's all rednecks and that kind of thing down here, but I think you can see from the people here that you were misinformed, and you want to, being the world champion that you are, the great, undoubtedly, as you said earlier, the greatest wrestler in the world today. Is that right? Well, okay, what you need to do here.
I couldn't have said that better myself.
Okay, fine. Oh, hey, you won't get any arguments from me. You know, what you want to do is look as good as possible. This is the first time that you've been on this TV in this area.
Right.
You want to impress these people. You want to look as good as possible today in front of this thousands of people that are watching. Now, I'm going to tell you something about Rick McCord. Now, I like Rick McCord, and this is no offense to Rick at all, but Rick is a young wrestler. He's fairly inexperienced, and I think it's safe to say that Rick has never won a match here on this television. Am I correct?
I don't remember if he did.
I'm not saying that as a knock to Rick. I'm saying it because the man is inexperienced. Now, were a man of your caliber to go in the ring there, you being the world heavyweight champion, were you to go in there and beat Ric Flair and beat Rick McCord, you really aren't going to impress anybody. I mean, when you step in the ring there, you wouldn't be able to walk in that audience and get one person to say that man has a chance.
You know, you and I just aren't communicating on the same level. You see, these people are here. I could go in there and wrestle a broom. They're here to see Ric Flair. Now, I'm telling you, I gave Memphis a little credit. Memphis has shown me a little bit more than I thought ever possible in the city of Memphis, Tennessee. But you don't seem to understand, these people over here have come to see me against anybody. It could be you. It could be, who's the little guy with the dark hair? What's his name? What do they call him? Bill Dundee. Bill Dundee. It could be anybody. Ric Flair, the greatest. Ric Flair, the legend. Ric Flair, your world champion, and all these people out here, world champion. So makes no difference. You want me to wrestle somebody else? Give me somebody else. Competition is all secondary next to Ric Flair.
Wow. Rick, excuse me, just one more second. You just said the magic words there. If you are the world heavyweight champion, there's no doubt in anybody's mind. You wear the gold, you're the greatest wrestler in the world today. So like you said, it shouldn't matter who you wrestle. Nobody's in your caliber, right? Well, why don't we let Rick go on back to the dressing room? And I had a match scheduled very similar to this man right here. If you don't mind, why don't you and I go in the ring? Now listen, like I said, no way. Listen, clear, Rick.
I think the folks like that.
It's obvious to you that even I'm not in your caliber. Nobody in this area is in your caliber. So when you beat me, you're going to impress these people. They will be impressed when you beat Jerry Lawler right in that ring.
You want to wrestle the world champion?
Don't you think anybody wants to wrestle the world champion? Hey, it's an honor for me, Rick. I would love to wrestle. It would be.
What kind of time would we have in these matches?
10 minutes. One ball, 10 minutes. You want 10 minutes of my time?
I would love it. Is that all right with you?
Non-title. Get in the ring, brother.
Wait.
Ric Flair has said he will go on a non-title, one fall, 10-minute time limit bout.
Let me ask you one more thing. I realize it takes a lot of your time here, and it's very valuable, precious time. But since I or Rick McCord up there, nobody in this area is in the same caliber of wrestler as you, and that's true because you are.
Well, indeed, this match could take so much out of Hulk Hogan that he may not be ready for this Tuesday in Texas. And from the outside, Ric Flair, the master tactician, using a little psychology here, I would suspect. Well, it doesn't appear that all the Hulkamania to the outside. Hogan going right after him. We're going to start this thing on the outside, folks. Oh, here they come. Nail, there you go. Look up, Winston. Check. Oh, my God, man. Hold your coat. Sit down. Flair chopping away on Hulk Hogan, hammering in. Flair raking the eyes all over the holster. Another chop. Flair with an uppercut. Ric Flair all over Hulk Hogan. Now, fighting fire with fire. Hogan hammering back. Yes, oh my goodness. Hogan chopping Flair to the back of the end. Oh. Flair now. Regroup. Back up, make a mistake. And hammering all over Ric Flair. He's biting him on the leg. Hogan. So intense. Ric Flair. Perhaps the sole reason why Hulk Hogan was not wearing a World Wrestling Federation Championship belt in the ring tonight. Shoulder block, Flair down. Hogan, over Flair, coming back now, right at him. Collision, no. Oh, it is clothesline. It'll be something this Tuesday. If he can pull out the victory and regain that title for the fourth time, that'll be something, but he's going to get by Flair right now, the real world champion. Hogan, Flair on the outside, Flair down to the railing. Hogan, thus far, it would appear to be, wants to punish Flair, and he's doing a great job on it. He wants to teach the so-called real world champion what it's all about. He's just going from pillar to post. He's all over the outside. Now, he should be counted out. Wow, another one. Hogan with Flair. And, oh no, wait a minute. He can set him up. Here he goes. He's going to suplex him on the outside. No! Gonna ring the bell to disqualify him. Flair on his hands and knees. A moment ago, now back up, and Hulk Hogan is just leveling him.
If these walls could speak, a lifetime of stories would be told. The legends, the moments.
Interest payments with Credit Card of America.
Real world champion. Oh, yes. Hogan hammering away. He's bringing him back. Flair back into the ring. Flair knows where he's at. See, he knows where he's at. Oh, that's how cunning. That's how sharp he is. Uh-oh. They are ruthless. They are going at it. They're letting out all the stops here in Madison Square Garden. Look at this. Remember the Alamo. Forget that. Boom. Flair up on the top. Looks like he's going to go for a ride. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Hogan, ahead of Steven. Flair down to the canvas again. You might have seen at one time you probably thought you were going to see a scientific match when this match was first booked. Not now. Right after Thanksgiving. Down. 1, 2. He gets him a 3. He gets shot. No. All right. Wait a minute. No. His foot's out. He got him. He counted 3. No, he didn't. He put his hand on it for 1, just to make sure his shoulders rolled. Flair into the knee area of Hulk Hogan. Hogan, he did say continuous. There he is. Thank goodness. What is he doing here? Just a minute. I don't know where he's been. What is he doing here? Oh no. Look what. Oh no. Flair now with that knee on the neck. Rams it right into the ring post. Ric Flair back on his. Oh no, come on, look at this. And again, this time for Mr. Perfect, the executive consultant of Ric Flair. This is the plan. There's no doubt about it. You're trying, in some fashion, to slow the Hulkster down so that he won't be ready for this Tuesday night. Flair continuing to work on the left leg of the immortal Hulk Hogan, former World Wrestling Federation champion, who's in there with the real world champion. Listen to this capacity crowd. Unquestionably the most gallant, perhaps the greatest World Wrestling Federation champion of all time, Hulk Hogan. But he is not the champion at this moment. The Undertaker is, thanks to Ric Flair. And that's why we are seeing the kind of match we're seeing here tonight. Oh, come on, referee. This is almost like a handicap match. Something wrong with my monitor. It seems to have gone dark on me. I'm not sure I'm getting it here. Probably not. Here we go. Oh, no. Just a matter of time. Continuing to soften up the left leg. Hoping to go for the figure four leg lock. And if he sinks it in, I don't believe the Hulk is going to be kicking out on it. Flair now with the head of steam and down to the knee again. Right in the kneecap. Hogan crumbling down to the canvas. Oh, come on. He's just snatching. Oh, here we go. It's over. Here we go. He's got it in. He's got it in. That's it. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. Somebody's over. Look at Perfect hanging on the fur behind the referee's back. Come on, turn around. Turn around. Hogan's still fighting. He hasn't given up yet. But he will. They'll all do. It's a matter of trying to hang on. Trying not to disappoint. It's Hulkamaniacs. Come on, Ref, bring that down. Hogan. Yes. Hogan now with the momentum. Has he reversed it? Has he reversed it? Aren't you looking at the same match I am? Of course I am. Oh, what are they doing there? Wait a minute. There's something on his hand. Mr. Perfect just handed Ric Flair something. Hogan stepping back, going after Flair now. Spitting. Oh! That's it. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Short left. Huh? No, there's got to be more than that. 2, 3. Hulkamania down, McMahon. Woo! I can't believe that. Wait a minute, we can check that out. From my vantage point, I can see. No. Yes, look at that. There's something in the back of his tights. No. Mr. Perfect handed something up. Ladies and gentlemen, there's definitely something there. Here is your winner, Ric Flair. There's the real world champion, McMahon. I love to hear that. The winner, Ric Flair. Woo! Can't believe this. Ric Flair. Wait a minute now, wait a minute. Officials coming in. Wait a minute. What they found it. They found it. They wanted to touch a Flair. They found it. There it is, Ref. There it is. No. No, that's not right. Who's to say he didn't plant something in his face? Look at this. Hogan, all over Flair. Hogan's going nuts. Flair over the top rope. Ladies and gentlemen, look. dying or someone getting hurt or something, they would have plastered Israelite everywhere. But they don't want you to know that that judges are actually awarding Israelites because of the blatant discrimination. And it doesn't stop here. What's going on in the pros right now and what's going on amongst out there, and I don't know, Trey, do anyone or any of them, I'm going to just say this. Have anyone talked to you in concern of some of the restrictions they're putting out there now under this campaign?
Yeah,
the pros.
We have. I talked to a number of them, and they're trying to ask me what I think they should do. And I have a kid now, and he's being pressed hard by his coach to do it. And so he just actually filled out his religious exemption form, but I just told him to read the fine line, because there's a part in there where there's other exemptions, and it's like a small writing at the bottom. So I told him to go to the admin office and ask him about that exemption. So you're still able to do a religious exemption form in certain areas. But if they're going to pay you now, they're putting it, like you said before, they're putting it all in contracts. Yeah. So now once you sign that, contracts make the law. So once you sign this contract, you're completely using your body and everything. They just like joining the military. So but they are concerned. So but one of the main concerns that they don't want to do, they just don't want to have to quarantine 14 days if they're in contact. They don't even have to have, like, if you're in contact with someone, they're being forced to kind of sit out 14 days, and that could be playoffs. It can be, and you're getting paid by games, you're getting paid on the road. So they're kind of making the restrictions almost. It just doesn't even make sense to not take the stuff, So, and they're not fully, fully studying a lot of this stuff. They know it, they know it, and they know what to look for, and then they'll tell me about a lot of those things that's going on. Like, hey man, this is what happened. This is what my coach said. Oh, this is what's about to take place. I knew about a lot of the stuff that the NBA was about to roll out before it even happened. You know what I mean? Okay. But correct, man. There's a lot of concern from a lot of the players, man, on the collegiate level and the professional level, even just to get back over the water. Some of the kids are even considering not, foregoing their senior year, or not even playing their last couple of years. You know what I mean? So
that's interesting. That is interesting. So let me ask you this real quick. All right. They awarded you, they reprimanded the institutions for firing you without cause. Right? Outside of them, right? Outside of the players, outside of the administration, here's the key question that I didn't even talk to you about over the phone before this interview, right? What is it that the Most High, you believe, is showing you through all of this? From the time you learned the truth, up to the time that you thought that you would use your influence to help children, right? Not by teaching them, by example, right? Up until the time where the Most High led you to these children as an influencer, as a coach and a mentor, all the way to a point where a judge and jury ruled in your favor to award your family. What is it in particular that you think the Most High, what is the Most High doing with you in the midst of all this? Because usually when I go through things, I understand that, okay, it's something that the Most High wanted me to experience that most people can't understand. This is my journey. I went through the Most High given me in this. Or not just the lesson, but the blessing. Outside of all these other components, what is you seeing with that piece when it comes to your walk with the Most High?
It's a good question. One of the main things I've seen was that scripture where it says that Judah will be at the neck of your enemy. the neck of their enemy.
Yeah.
So when I was up there, you know what I mean? Like I'm in a this is a federal trial, you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at all these people that run the entire school districts in 5 states. And I'm looking at people that, you know, that control everything that goes around. This is the 2 governments I'm looking at. And I started thinking about the men in the scriptures, like, man, these weren't men like that. They were just like, you know, your brother from, you know, around the corner nobody knew about. Like these brothers were standing like face to face, you know what I'm saying, with kings, face to face with people that rule the entire, you know what I'm saying, that rule provinces. So that kind of showed me, like, you know, like going back to our forefathers, how they stood with boldness, like in the face of kings and people who had high power. As far as when the bread got when they rewarded me the money, it was something obviously unexpected, you know what I'm saying? But I started thinking about really the long haul. You know, I started thinking about a lot of our brothers and sisters that really don't have it, you know what I'm saying, or can't get out of here or whatever the case, if it came down to it. Because, you know, I'm past splurging, I'm past all that stuff. You know, I'm 34 now, so those days are gone where I'm spending money frivolously. Mm-hmm. So, but those are the 2 things that I started thinking about, is how the other nations store up money for you. You know what I'm saying? I started thinking about how our forefathers was at the neck of our enemies, and that's where Judah's going to be. And I started also thinking about really just fighting back, because again, initially I didn't want to do anything. Once they fired me, I just wanted to take my ball and go home, you know. And I was kind of pressed by, like, hey man, you need to do something about it.
My magnets came.
Like, you know,
You're trying to put these on their car.
Let me try it. Like I've never stood up for myself on a legal side before, you know. So I used the system that they made, and there's a lot of fine writing, you know what I mean? And you just have to really understand how the game works. And I just pulled the same strings that they do. So that was kind of big too, and how it says in Wisdom of Solomon how they'll use the law to oppress us. So you know, in the reverse, I just used it right back.
And I just wanted to hear that straight from your mouth, just because sometimes I love to hear the journey. Okay, the Most High takes each individual on a journey where, you know, it's him and you. It has nothing to do with anyone else out there. And at the end of it, you'll realize the purpose for that journey. And I'm saying that to say, brother, hey, you had Daniel in the lion's den. Okay, we had Pharaoh on one side, and we had the reed seat on the other side. All through the scriptures, we have the 3 brothers.
I asked
during the time
a minute
of
ago,
young Daniel.
30 years later, this rivalry is still going strong. Did you anticipate in 2019 we'd still be seeing Flair versus Hogan?
I think as long as they're both alive. Hey, I'm talking about you, so pay attention. Yeah, I'm talking about you. As long as he and I are alive, there will always be a competitive nature. Always. Yeah, they want to know if I'm going to get in the ring tomorrow night. Say one thing to take me off, and I'll be in the ring tomorrow night.
I dare you to roll through the ropes and start your normal.
At the beginning or at the end? I'm telling you, you won't even see me coming. It'll be just like that.
That's how everybody's set up. You won't see me coming.
Huh? Okay.
RKO from under the ring, McIntyre, cheap shot.
That's right. So at least you know you're prepared. You know. Yeah, I promised it down there. Love tap.
Okay. Yeah. Well, love hurts, brother. Get ready for the payback. You won't give it up, will you? You won't. You're always going to try and put me down, aren't you? No.
It ain't going to happen.
No, you're not poking the bear. I'm sitting there talking to some man here. You're poking me in the back.
No, but I'm just telling you because you're going to get punched tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm giving you a heads up.
Good.
Okay? I hope I don't see you in the hotel lobby. Okay. All right.
Obviously, Mr. Flair, it's a very personal rivalry.
Good for you too, Jimmy Hart. Don't be smiling at me.
What kind of knowledge are you imparting upon your superstars to be ready for tomorrow?
They don't need any knowledge. These guys are great. Randy Orton
like I said, is probably the greatest performer in the business today. And you look at Corbin, his reputation. Lashley was a great amateur, a great pro, UFC, and the Shinsky, my God, you know, Japanese wrestlers, they're tough. They start when they're 5 years old. They know no mercy. They don't give up. It's going to be a great show. But this guy and I are going to have words tomorrow. I'm sure of it. It'll escalate to that point.
So, well, I was going to ask, are you going to be able to contain yourself emotionally ringside with Hogan out there?
Depends on what he has to say to me. He gets out there and starts telling off my guys, you never know what's going to happen. I won't be responsible for it, I can tell you that.
Time for the Royal Rumble! This is what we've all been waiting for! In just a few moments, the individuals who drew number 1 and number 2 will begin the Royal Rumble. Oh my God. And every 2 minutes thereafter, another individual will enter the ring according to the number he pulled. This is Remember, in the Royal Rumble, it is every man for himself. And elimination occurs when a wrestler is thrown out over the top and onto the floor. Now, the man who will win the Royal Rumble and the one man remaining after all 30 participants have entered will be crowned the undisputed World Wrestling Federation champion. Very simple. It's over the top and down to the make a brief statement prior to the Rumble's beginning. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce to you the esteemed president of the World Wrestling Federation, Mr. Jack Tunney.
Mr. Jack, on the tape, Tunney. Thank you very much, Howard. I would like to take this opportunity to officially welcome everyone who is watching this spectacular event with us. The winner of this event will not only have the prestige of beating 29 other men, but will also be declared the undisputed World Wrestling Federation champion. Come on, let's go. I would like to say in closing, may the best man win. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
He's been the best president since Noriega.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us all find out.
Oh, come on.
Number 1 for the Royal Rumble.
Oh, come on. President Jack Tunney is sending on. It's Baby Boy. The winner's Bulldog.
He won the big battle royal in London a couple of months ago.
The winner of the coveted Samovar Trophy at the Royal Albert Hall. We were there. We certainly were. Of course, there was only 19 men involved in that one. This one here is 29 guys bringing. He's going to have to go through. Shut up. Who's number 2?
And now, here is the individual who drew number 2. There's a couple to be on the cover of these.
The $1 Million Man always gets his price. Yeah.
oven, right? Being thrown in the fire where the Most High made it cool in the oven. And I'm going to tell you this right now, brother. All I have to say is make sure you and your family have all your proper paperwork together and move it into something tangible, because they're about to switch this whole thing up into what? You got it. Electronic, crypto. But here's the piece you're probably not seeing. That you probably, I'm not going to say that. I think you can see it by now. Brother, the journey isn't done. I believe that the relationships the Most High had you establish will be there at the most optimal time of need. It's still on this journey, and the relationship that you're developed is going to help you, help your family get from point A to point B. I'm going to tell you that right now. These relationships, because, hey, you got basketball players now writing a higher on their sneakers now. They're talking amongst one another. You think they're not looking at these videos? Of course they're looking at these videos. They look, brother. They call too. Let me put that out there. Let me say this. The Bible tells us in the book of Jeremiah 15:11. It says, the Lord said, Ahijah said, verily it shall be well with thy remnant. Verily I will cause the enemy to entreat thee well in the time of evil and in the time of affliction. So out of nowhere, the Most High has a judge and a jury that's predominantly a white jury award you this in a time of trouble. I'm going to tell you, man, the Most High is doing something with this awakening, with this truth. So what I had to do, I said, listen, let me get the brother on. Let's talk about it in hopes of strengthening brothers and sisters' faith who may believe that they're up against, they may feel that they're up against everything with no solution, when really it's your test. It's your test. Just like you said, brother, you could have easily just said, well, listen, just let me have my job back. The Most High was like, no, I got something better. This thing need to be put in print. It need to be put out there, right? And then you say, well, listen, I thought that I would just have to get another job. And then all of a sudden, a little birdie come to you and say, no. They were talking behind closed doors and say they're going to fire you because you're an Israelite. A lawyer gets involved, you get in court, and everyone side what? They side in favor of who? The one who stood with the Most High, stood for the Most High through that whole journey with those children. The Most High was showing you that he was with you. He respected and honored your obedience for Sabbath when you could have used grace. He respected and honored your interaction with those children when you could have just said, those are not my children. I don't care what happened to them. Oh, they're Gentiles. I don't care. No, you took a special care, and the Most High rewarded you on the other end, brother. And I wanted to use this story as an example because why? He's all of our God. He's not, if he can do this for you, brothers and sisters have to understand that he's out there for you too. You're going to be up against a wall and think that it's against all odds. Oh, what I'm going to do about my finances, what I'm going to do about my job. Let me tell you, get your head in this book, follow the law, and when someone violate your civil rights, when someone violate your constitutional rights and try to force you into what? A medical decision outside of your contract, understand your legal right to fight back in a way that they can understand. Okay? But go ahead, brother. I'm gonna let you get the last word. And I hope that this give a lot of brothers and sisters strength out there. Because don't forget, this brother didn't call me while it was going on. Okay, he could have. But I found out about this battle after it was almost done. Well, the settlement wasn't complete yet. And then he called me. He stood in this battle. He stood in the same faith he had while interacting with those people, while interacting with those children. And the Most High found favor in it. So I thank the Most High, and I bless the Most High, and I thank him for this, because he said he would help us in this time of trouble. And here's one of many examples. Go ahead, brother. I'm gonna let you get the last word. And I know we have elders who would like to come in.
Come on. I guess that's the main thing I want to tell everybody is just, document everything, especially if you're on at work. Really document the smallest thing documented. I had everything documented. The other thing is, yes, stay encouraged, because while this was going on, I went through small, I wouldn't say depressed, but I was really sad, of what was going on, because I was questioning what I was supposed to be doing. But now coming back full circle, it was because I stood up, and I spoke a language that they understood, because initially I wanted to cuss everybody out at the job or whatever the case. And I was really upset, and I was going back and forth online, having arguments, and then I just realized it wasn't profiting anything. So again, just speak a language that they understand, and you got to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And that was really and once since that happened, with all of my clients now, everybody that I see, it's just a level of respect. Because of the situation that happened and how I reacted to it. We just have to switch our mindset and how they did it. And another example was Paul. How he kept on kind of jumping in and out of roles, in characters. So we got to jump out of these characters of how we used to handle conflicts and do it their way. So this is going to be a time for everything else, but the words and things like that, it was just hard for me to. It's hard to be heard, so you have to submit that paperwork. So that's the biggest thing, man. Stay encouraged, document everything, and let's understand that these times is coming. So it's just really showing that the word is true. It was a test of my faith, but it showed man, this is what the scripture says is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So just stand with it. Just stand with it, because you don't really know what's on the other side of that battle that you're going through. But it was hard. A lot of relationships were broken during this process. Close friends I've known for years, mentors, things of that nature. So, but there was one thing that I just knew. I knew what the truth was and why I was going through it. Mm-hmm. So, but that's just all I want to say, man. I appreciate y'all for having me on. And if your kid wants to play basketball, it's always a good or any type of sport. It's always good to clear their head and do something like that. But I don't preach NBA to kids. I think that's kind of what's drawing more parents.
Okay, so you're taking this thing to the next level as far as your personal camp that you're financing yourself to prepare to prepare children for the next level. You have your personal camps, right?
Yeah. We about to start taking on the road now. I don't need no. I got my own finances.
Okay, all right. Okay, so all right. Well, don't. Outside of this, you and I, we're going to discuss a few things, especially, overseas, whatever the case is, because there's options. So we're going to talk about that. But, brother, I really appreciate you. Hey, you're showing brothers and sisters out there and strengthening brothers and sisters, teaching them, showing our people how faith works. How faith works. And guess what? Hey, I'm going to tell you this real quick, folks. They're not doing this to Christians. If he was a Christian, it wouldn't have been an issue. He was a pagan Christian. If he was a Muslim, it wouldn't have been an issue. Hey, if he was hold up. Check this out. If he was a straight up Satanist, there would have been no issues. No issues. Okay, if he was a Satanist, they would have kept him on. If he was a Buddhist, atheist, Satanist, if he was a Muslim, if he was a devout Christian under T.D. Jakes, he would have still been working. So what does that tell you in and of itself? The knowledge of us being the children of Israel shakes this world to its foundation. Why? Because it's the truth. And once that's unlocked, the Gentiles can no longer control us and abuse us like they once did. Hence the power of being what? A child of God. Well, thank you, brother. There's a little noise, but I'm going to call you later, man, and thank the Most High. We got Trey. And hey, let's get some work done. Bless you.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Okay. I have a few announcements to make. And then after that, we're going to open up the lines. One moment. A few announcements, and then we'll open up the lines. And there's one more story I would like to go into. So hold tight. You don't want to miss this story. Hold tight. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is clear.
And when we go throughout the scriptures and we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came from the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes him understand. The truth of your book and the truth make you Hebrew Bible Academy. You're invited. That's right. Hebrew Bible Academy, week 4. We're going into week 4 of the Hebrew Bible Academy. You'll never guess what the lesson is. That's right. Week 4 lesson. Who is Edom? And this time we're going into the Caesars and showing you that prophetically, beyond any shadow of a doubt, we have identified, that's right, the nemesis. Esau. Linking Esau directly to who? The Vatican, the Roman Empire. So we're going into, that's right, brothers and sisters. Who is Edom? And guess what? The mark of the man, that 666 mark of the man, would be implemented by the Edomites in the last days. And I'm going to show you how the precepts totally breaks this down. That Esau, the so-called European from Rome, would be the minister. He would be the man behind pushing the mark of the beast on Jacob this coming Sunday. So don't worry about it. It's week 4. We have over 2 months. So you're not too late. You can get in. You'll get the 3 weeks you've missed. Catch up for week 4 this coming Sunday. And then we have 2 full months left of just powerful biblical information. And I'll tell you this, not only do we have the Bible, the history books, okay, the secular books, even the Gentile books that corroborates what the Bible teaches. And one thing that pointed out, that stood out when I spoke to Trey earlier, he said, Elder, I'm gonna tell you right now, every book the majority of the books you've mentioned online since 2015, they're all in my library. That's what the brother Trey told me. He says, listen, when you put out a book, Elder, he says, my whole library is filled with the book that you suggested. And I'm so happy. He told me it has bestowed so much wisdom on him, reading that literature that we referred him to. And a lot of that literature is what we teach from in the Hebrew and Bible Academy. So it applies in all areas of our lives, not just school. Okay? How to interact with people with this knowledge. When we break down the news in the Hebrew and Bible Academy, certain instances and examples, almost role playing, breaking down, real life scenarios to be able to navigate through this earth. It's all in that academy. Hebrew and Bible Academy, get in, history, times, dot.
Introducing 48 Square Centimeters with 2% cashback earning potential. This is the code for
Get your library together.
real life.
One day, these computers are going to go bye-bye. And what they haven't been telling you is that these computers has become a high-tech book burning, making the majority of the population, so dependent on the computer that we no longer purchase books. Mistake. Okay. I mean, if you go to a church and see somebody following a Bible teacher using a cell phone, I'm like, come on, man. No, it's just something about having that book. It gives the words more what? More relevance. Excuse me, more relevance. You gotta have that book. Because sooner or later, these computers gonna go and you're gonna look around and be like, man, where did all the books go? Too dependent on what? The beast mode, the phone, right? Hebrew and Bible Academy. I have a few other things I want to go through real quick. I don't know if I have the time. I'm sorry I'm so late. Real quick. I apologize, folks, because I had a whole outline for the show outside of just trade coming in. So I guess the Spirit took it where the Most High wanted it to go. So one moment here. There's one thing I wanted to show last but not least. One thing I wanted to show before we open up the lines, right? I wanted to show this real quick to you all. And thank you, Ryan, for sending this to me. I appreciate you. Real quick, I wanted to show this. And you can find this on RT News, and I'll be going into this and more this coming Saturday. RT News, fair use. Up to 30 Russians a year falling prey to bloodthirsty Satanist covens. Experts warn as devil worshippers confess to ritual murder.
Do I think? What do I
think? We're going to be going into this.
This is what I know. Our fans deserve a winner in that match. And that is exactly what they're going to get. Next Thursday, you're going to see our world champ, Bobby Lashley, versus our X Division champ, Eddie Edwards. Title versus title. And there's not going to be any interference, none of this BS, because these two are going to face each other in the 6 sides of steel.
It's time to help people customize and save Liberty Mutual.
Bribery, murder, and Washington not with me.
If you object, then what are the sentence?
I'm not so mad that you put a hit out on me.
That's right. At the very end, folks, Albert Pike in the late 1800s said at the very end, they're going to release the nihilists, the Satanists, and the unbelievers against society. So when you look at the Letter People movement, that was only segueing to open the door for this. Listen to this. Demented occultists looking for victims as part of their sick rituals. As part of their sick rituals, pose a real threat to the Russian public. One top analyst has cautioned after a pair of Satanists confessed to a gory double murder in a remote woodland. Now, why am I bringing this out, brothers and sisters, right now? I'm bringing it out because what they're not telling you is that this is not just going on in Russia. The missing children, the missing people, targeting certain institutions, targeted institutions that actually, how can I say this? How can I say this? Because, I have to watch my words here. Attacking the babies in the womb before they get a chance to actually breathe. Well, guess what? That's Moloch sacrifice. And usually when one of these institutions get rid of children, there's 3 witches on the outside of the building, forming a circle to actually sacrifice the child to Satan or to Lucifer. Okay? So it's not just RT. And why am I putting this out there, folks? Because that's what we're up against. We wrestle not with flesh and blood. And what Trey was mentioning earlier, these are Satanists that are coming against Israelites, that are coming against our people staking claim to our true identity. These are Satanists. Okay? One other thing, speaking of Satanists, I'm going to go on. I really had a 5 or 10 minute monologue I wanted to deal with the Satanists, but I'll deal with that Saturday. One other thing I wanted you all to see that's quite interesting. A sister sent me this picture. Speaking of Satanists, a sister sent me this picture, brothers and sisters. She took a picture from a television commercial. She was looking at TV and thought that she would, let's get it here, and thought that she would send a picture. Most people don't even recognize. You don't even recognize what's right in front of you. But she's seen it because her eyes are open. And she took a picture of it. Sister, thank you for sending me this picture. Sister Tiffany sent me this picture. And what is it? It's showing the COVID-91 pandemic, COVID-91 spelled backward, rapid test on TV. And she took a picture of it because look at this. You think they didn't want you to see this? You think they didn't want you to see this, of who's behind this campaign, speaking of Satanists. Is that a Masonic ring on a woman, an Eastern Star? Look at this. COVID-91 spelled backward, pandemic, network. And she took a picture of this right in plain sight. Speaking of Satanists, who's behind these campaigns targeting our people in every area? Look at that. The majority of people looking at TV would have totally ignored this. Soon as the sister seen it, she took a picture and sent it. Right in plain sight, the devil is running this whole campaign. And the synagogue of Satan, Revelations 2:9 and 3:9, are controlling that order. You want to know who's behind all this? I'll be going into this and more. I'll be going into this and more on my third episode of the Mark of the Beast report. I'm going to do it live right here, live from Patreon, Friday at 1 o'clock. Friday at 1 o'clock will be on Patreon, breaking forth information that we cannot readily discuss on this platform. Really, you can't say what you want to say in detail here, but I'll be able to do it on Patreon, leading into our Sabbath lesson. And subsequent to that, you know we all do that Hebrew and Bible Academy. It's right there in front of you. She took a picture of it on the TV. Most people would have missed that. Thank you, sister, for sending that. All right, let's make some calls. Let's open up the lines and let's make some calls. It's the Satanists behind this campaign, folks, trying to get this stuff up in you. And the corporate sports world, as well as the corporations, is using this campaign as what? A form of leverage over their employees, over their servants. They're using this campaign as leverage. That's all it's about. They can use this in negotiating, bringing people in and hiring people for lower wages because why? There is no jobs. This whole campaign, this reset will be used as leverage. If there's a football player or a basketball player who's wordy, strong-headed, not willing to stand up and pledge allegiance, all of a sudden, a negative test. Watch you see that all this year, folks.
Unbeatable clean.
Anyone that's outspoken, it can immediately be put on the sideline with the built-in excuse. Oh, he was negative. She was negative. Or you can get that, the death dose, Real quick here, one moment.
I am Loki of Asgard, and you will regret this. You picked up the Tesseract.
Day one of joint practices here in Minnesota. I'm Phil Milani alongside Eric Bilala and Sidney Jones. We heard from both the quarterbacks here today. Eric, how'd they look out there?
Yeah, a little bit of up and down play, Phil. I think you look toward the end of the day and end of the game scenario, driving the ball. Teddy Bridgewater succeeded in his attempt, found Jerry Jeudy on probably a 20 to 25 yard slant, and Jeudy went the distance, would have had a 60-yard touchdown. So that kind of capped his day. Only 2 or 3 incompletions for Teddy Bridgewater. Drew Lock not quite as successful. Had a little bit of issues working with Quinn Miners and the second team, threw a pick there at that end of game scenario. Still did have some nice throws, of course. He had one to Cortland Sutton in a 7-on-7 period. Really nice throw, good catch, a couple other good passes, but maybe a slight edge to Teddy today.
Okay, and Teddy back here in Minnesota, obviously an emotional return after he began his career here. Sidney, talking about Jerry Jeudy, he said that Bridgewater said of Jeudy that he's scared of what he could do out on the field.
Honestly, I'd be scared too. I mean, today he was phenomenal. We've seen him all camp just be really amazing. He kind of came into his second year and has kind of looked like a different person. Obviously he had a lot of drops last season, came in really focused on that this offseason. I think he's only had a couple drops during training camp, but today, Eric, I think mentioned it, Teddy threw a long deep pass to Jerry, took it all in, all the way the distance. He somersaulted into the end zone and rolled around in the grass. During, I think it was the start of one-on-ones, he just smoked Mackenzie Alexander. I mean, just watching him has been incredible, and he's had a really great day today.
Well, the quarterback battle continues on here. Drew Lock will get the start this week. Then against the Seahawks, it'll be Teddy's turn. The other story that we heard from today was Von Miller. He said that it doesn't matter who's quarterback, even he could play quarterback. But on a more serious note, he talked about visiting the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he said, it's great to see Peyton, great to see DeMarcus, all these guys, of course. And he thought about what's it going to be like to be up there on that stage, what's it going to be like to unveil his bust someday. Said he's not ready yet. He's still kind of putting the finishing touches on his Hall of Fame career. Wants to make sure there's no doubt that he's a future Pro Football Hall of Famer. And hopefully we should see him on the field soon here. He said he needs to play some preseason snaps. He needs to sharpen the knife, though. You're a chef. You know what that's like. You need a sharp knife. So it'll be exciting to see him out there and get to see that Hall of Fame potential back on the field.
It's interesting. Last week he said that he was at peace and that everything was fine. Now he's like, no, I still got to do more to get after the Hall of Fame here. Sydney, let's wrap up here. What do you think about this facility? It's pretty special, huh?
Phil, it is. It's really special. I've been to Minnesota, I think one time. It was really just driving through. Never been to Minneapolis or seen the facility at all, but it's beautiful. Seems high tech, up to date. One thing I do have to say, I kind of miss the dry weather up in Denver. It is very, very humid out here.
Yeah, our hair, how does our hair look?
Oh, phenomenal.
Your hair looks good too. So yeah, we're all fine. Okay, no humidity problems here. So I don't know what the problem is. Okay. All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow, day 2 of joint practices here in the Twin Cities. For Eric Dalala, Sydney Jones, I'm Phil Milani.
We're not starting. Oh, hell. Yeah, oh, hell. It's wet. Water is not. Water is wet. Water makes things wet. Water is not wet. Water is wet. No. Look at the definition. Water is wet. No.
This is the question of the day right here.
Water is wet.
It's wet.
How is it not wet?
Water is not wet. Am I not wet right now? But is the fish in the water wet? Who come up with these questions?
Water makes things wet. It's not wet.
Water is wet. No. Water makes things wet because the water molecules are surrounding something that is dry, right?
Yeah, water's not dry.
So if I were to take a cup of water and I had the cup, there are a bajillion water molecules in there surrounding other water molecules. A bajillion. That means the water is wet.
No, if you get that water and you dump it in the ocean, you making the ocean wet? No.
It's already wet.
No, it's not.
No, you can't argue with that. It's already wet. The ocean's already wet.
Yeah, it bothers people. This
Water
question
is
is
only
wet
when it's absorbed something. It can't be wet in its own body.
So everybody said all that, and then you come with that. I'm going.
Man, what y'all think? Y'all comment underneath the joint and tell us what y'all think. Y'all think this joint wet or not? Please help me understand.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is over here at the Broncos facility with this question. We have some issues, technical difficulties in this question. Enjoy your day.
I'm not really worried about it being wet. So
I just explained it.
they're really getting after it.
No, water, for something to get wet, it got to be dry. Water is not dry, so it can't get wet.
Hey, no, listen to the definition. To be covered or saturated with water, correct?
Yes.
In the ocean, is water not covered or saturated with other water? Yes or no?
No.
Yes, it is.
Wait, a fish that lives underwater all its life is dry.
That's what y'all saying. On the water. My point exactly.
What are you saying?
Is fire already burnt?
Hey, don't you love that speaker? It's my favorite worldly possession.
You know it's waterproof, right?
What's going on? What's going on? Before I do that, let's see if Elder Lloyd wanted to say. Hey. Elder Lloyd, you with me? All right, come on in. All right, bring your camera on. Okay, good. I don't know if you heard the interview, but I should check it in with you and see if you wanted to actually say something on that. It's up to you.
No, I think the interview was very encouraging, very informative, and hopefully, I think we all can learn a lot from the situation the brother went through to know that in those scenarios, we're not helpless. There are avenues by which, at least according to this world system, justice can be served and things of that nature. And then also, it's encouraging to see the effects of the truth. Someone just walking in the faith, not being necessarily brutish or forceful with the knowledge, just being as, one, even going back to the scriptures where you had those like Abraham just operating and functioning and people just inquiring about what it is he was about. And that teaching moments presented themselves. So a lot of good points from that interview. I don't have much to say. So if you would like, we can get right into the calls.
Okay, I'm going to get right into the calls, but Elder Lawyer, as you know, even overseas, I was receiving calls from some athletes even while I was overseas, right? And
Yes,
and now it's coming around full circle. And you notice this campaign, this Dovik 91 in reverse, right? This campaign came in 2020 at a convenient time when the majority of sports contracts in the United States were being negotiated. The CBA for the NFL was on the table. Something was going on with the baseball contracts that was on the table. And I'm putting it out there, folks, because why? This is deeper than sports. Brothers and sisters, back in Rome, you could influence the population by controlling the Marb. The Marb was the Colosseum. Now, even though Caesar wasn't always in favor of the gladiators, he needed the gladiators. Our people were the gladiators fighting in the arenas. Why? We could fight in battle and, Israelites. I mean, we're naturally strong as a people when it comes to what? Athletics. So even though Caesar didn't agree with every gladiator, because the majority of gladiators were Christians, Caesar needed the gladiators because why? The people of Rome admired the gladiators. Okay? The gladiators were modern day at that time heroes. They were heroes. So anytime the Caesar looked to pass any legislation, he could only do so if he was in favor with what? The Marb. So they would use gladiators to fight in the Colosseums, bring out all of the people of Rome to witness our skill in battle. And during the intermission, Caesar would have what? the top speaker or the announcer. The announcer would bring forth what? The information that was needed to move the country forward. What war we must unite together against? What people opposed Great Rome? The announcer would tell the people everything Caesar needed him to say to have what? The population on the side of his politics. So he could easily control Rome politically and the world politically if he had control of the mob. Well, folks, that hasn't changed. That's what sports is for. Sports is not just for the mere game. It's because it draws eyeballs and ears. And through that, they can control and progress any agenda they need through sports. Through sports. And now athletes are waking up with the knowledge that they're the children of Israel now. That's a problem. And it's the same problem that happened right before Rome was wounded, before Rome was torn apart. The same thing happened when we begin to revolt. When we begin to stand up against the injustices of Rome. Septimius Severus and Pescennius Niger, two black generals, split Rome in two, which created black nobility all over Europe. And what the so-called powers that be fears is what happened in Rome is happening all over again. The gladiators are restless. So now they came up with a new way to leverage against the modern day gladiators with tests. With tests and the stuff. Folks, it's about influence and control. It has always been. Now let's go. Elder Lawyer, I'm going to open up the lines, all right? You can stick with me. All right? Hold on. Where did Elder Lawyer go? Hold on. Okay. You with me, Elder Lawyer? All right, Lawyer, I'm going to call you back. Let me call in Blog Talk first, okay? And I'll call you back. And Elder Gabar, if you out there, let me know if you want to come in, okay? Let's go. Elder Gabar, I'm going to turn on my phone. If you're interested, just Skype and let me know you. Just text me, Elder Gabar, and I'll bring you in, okay? Let's see here. Okay, here we go.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Okay, here we go. Call on in. If you have any questions, comments, whatever the case is, now is the time. Okay, we're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. We thank you, brothers and sisters, for your presence and all of your support. All right, let's go through the calls. Okay, 515-605-9327. Okay. I'll say it again. 515-605-9327. Come on in. Now, just like that brother experienced something on the job and overcame, that alone in of itself should be what? Inspiration for you all to know that the Most High is with you. Not to break in this time, to stand in your truth. Right? Let's see here. 515-605-9327. Against all odds, that brother stood up, and you can do the same. Sister Tony. Sister Tony, you're live. 304, how are you doing, Sister Tony? You're live. Hold on.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Okay, Blog Talk is wigging out again. All right, Ramar, you can unmute me. Unmuted. Okay, we're good. All right, Sister Tony, you're live.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you live. You're live with the Gathering of Christ Church. How are you? What you got?
I'm new to the GOCC platform. I've been watching your videos for the past month, and I can say that I've learned so much. I grew up in the Christian church, a Sabbath-day Christian church, and I'm just so excited that I clicked your video that night. The first video that I actually watched from you guys was, what are they turning us into? And I watch your videos every day at work, when I'm at home. It just opened my understanding to like another level. And I just want to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All praises be to the Most High. How old are you?
I am 27.
27. Now, I'm going to tell you this right out. The more the knowledge gets out there, the more scoffers will be out there to discourage your walk, okay? Now, I'm going to say that just like you clicked on my video, when you become popular, you're going to have a lot of stuff out there that's going to try to do what? People are going to try to throw a stumbling block in front of you, sister. Okay?
Right.
Just like most people out there. Okay?
Okay.
The Bible tells us, it teaches of this, right? What you got to do is focus on the information. You're at a key, you're at an integral point of your awakening. And if you stumble, a matter of fact, let me get Elder Lawyer on the phone because I'm glad you're on, sister. How old are you again?
I'm 27.
I'm going to give you the parable of the sower because you're going to need that.
Okay.
Because in the midst of this, it's like just like you clicked on that video, there's a lot of people out there who hate the truth, who don't value what you understand. Okay, don't value it. A matter of fact, they'll look to discourage you from this. All right. Now, number one, who woke you? I'm going to ask you a question, sister. Who woke you up? Who woke you up to the truth?
What happened was after college, I was actually searching for the truth myself.
Yeah.
Because I knew what I was learning when I was growing up, something was just off.
Yeah.
So I started researching, trying to find God myself, praying, asking Him to guide me. And I started observing the Sabbath again. And that's when your video popped up.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, who woke you up?
There's actually this channel on YouTube that I started watching. It's called Truth Unedited, and their views are totally different than the Gathering of Christ Church, but they got me to researching more.
Sister.
because something sparked. Yes.
Sister. You know who woke you up?
God.
Thank you.
Okay.
The Most High woke you up. And it's important. And it's very important, sister, that you understand that.
Okay.
Because one man planteth, another man watereth, but it's the Most High who gives the increase. And if you ever honor anything above that awakening, a stumbling block can be put in front of you that will cause you to stray or to question whether or not it's the truth. Okay? The Most High woke you up because guess what? Just like it was the Most High that guided you to click on the video. I didn't do that. Truth Unedited didn't call you up and tell you to look at that video.
Right.
Okay? Okay, we have Elder Gabar, but before I want to read something. Elder Lawyer, you with me?
Yes, sir.
And I'm saying this, sister, because why? You'll have people that'll throw a stumbling block in front of you. They will say all types of crap. And let me tell you, folks, here's some of the stuff I've experienced. I've experienced someone after 2 years wandering in the wilderness. I get on a phone call today. This person really needed what this church could provide. And someone told a brother and sister, it's a husband and wife, that they knew me. Told these people that they knew me personally.
Gala, and I cover so many underrated players on this channel, it's getting ridiculous. And this player right here, Bernard King, I have to talk about him because some NBA legends feared him during his career, and he was one of the best scorers in the 80s. If injuries did not interrupt his career, he'll be way higher on the all-time list. Like, I'm serious. There was one point in time where you could argue that he was on the same level as Larry Bird, and he was actually second in MVP voting to Larry Bird in the 1983-84 MVP race. It's actually crazy how he rarely gets talked about. Like, he had back-to-back 50-point games. He scored 60 points on Christmas, and he could have scored more because he did have 40 at the half. So yeah, he was the ultimate scoring machine at the small forward position. Luckily, he is in the Hall of Fame, but injuries stopped him from getting the recognition he deserved. So anyways, man, we're gonna listen to NBA legends and players talk about how scary good prime Bernard King was. But before we get straight into that, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for the culture so you won't be missing any of my videos. And let's get to the vid, man.
Bernard King. You know, I talked about George Gervin being the best pure scorer I've probably ever seen. Bernard King is in that same category. You know, it was unfortunate all the injuries cut his career short. But that was some years where Bernard King was flat out fantastic. I mean, flat out fantastic. It was an honor to play against him. Really just a nice guy. But as far as scoring, just a flat out scorer. Unfortunately, injuries cut his career short. But this guy could score with anybody.
And I've never feared anybody ever played because there's one guy that scared me, and that was Bernard King. You could not guard him on the block. It was just impossible because he would turn to his right shoulder when he would shoot. He never extended. He stopped here. So you couldn't block his shot. You look up, he got 40. Oh, it was. And the thing about Bernard, they used to tell us, you got to meet Bernard at half court. I'm like, I'm not meeting him at half court. Well, I found out real quick what they meant because he was gone, you know. So I had to start to meet him at half court because once he got ahead of steam at half court, it was too late. Could nothing you can do about it. You know, it's hard to say one the guy, but a guy that really made me think, and it kind of made me a little nervous, and I didn't fear anybody when I played. Was Bernard King.
Really?
Unbelievable player.
He was just sneaky on you.
Well, no, it wasn't that. He was relentless. He's one of those guys that can score 30 or 40 and not much you can do about it.
I grew up in New York City, man. This is like overwhelming. Like, I'm getting chills right now. I see, the funny thing, I'll see Bernard at the All-Star game and all that, but I wore number 30 because of Bernard King. I grew up in New York City. They were like, what uniform you want when you were in high school? I'm like, I'm going to be the new Bernard King for Christopher Lloyd. And that's what I said. I'm like, I'm going to do what Bernard King does for the Knicks for y'all. And I was like, I'm going to be number 30. I wanted to do that. I mean, this guy was just I tried to do the walk. You know what I mean? I tried to do the walk. You should, before the free throws. I did everything, man. I had to change my whole life when I got to high school because the late Jack Curry used to say, Kenny, you're not Bernard. Stop doing that. You're doing everything he's doing.
The reason it's so funny when people used to think I was so serious about saying Michael Jordan, I would do it because I just don't like I know people don't know the history of the game and they only know what they're told when they turn on. And so I said my favorite player was Bernard King. Bernard King, if anybody from Brooklyn at that time would know, if you were like Bernard or Albert King, but Bernard King was the man. And when Bernard blew his knee up, you would think it was totally over. And then Bernard worked. Next thing you know, he's getting 50 a game again. Couldn't do it like he was always doing it, but Kobe blew out his Achilles, limped off court. You see him train to get it back, to come back to being the player he was, scoring 81 in a game and then 61. I mean, it's KD. Yeah.
And not only does 2 points good, that's his first attempt is right. Bernard King draws the foul. It's on Horace Grant. King to someone, I said he looks like you can stop him every time he drives until he's by you. Yeah, he doesn't look like he's got the quickness of anything, but he just goes through. It's Bernard King. Shovel pass to English, right back to King. Takes Jordan in from the left and hits the shot off the glass and draws the foul. Michael Jordan on the foul, his second. Good play by King. He comes right in Michael's living room there, throws it up. Will Purdue tried to help out, but King gets the basket. Bernard King with 22 points in the game.
Bernard King was a machine. He was fun to watch. He was just a prolific scorer.
Bernard King once again.
Once he got the ball, he was going to foul him, or he was going to score or do both.
Again for King, yes, and it counts.
He had great speed.
Bernard King on the run.
He has all kinds of explosive moves.
Super move by King.
He can go 1-on-3, and he'd be going 100 miles an hour straight forward. Then he can go laterally and split the defense and be able to finish.
Bernard Scola. Bernard to the basket. What a play. In there.
Bernard King did very, very few things with pizzazz, with fancy, with a lot of splat.
Super move by King.
He had such a repertoire of offense, big plays, his spin move.
Bernard King once again.
His release on his post-up were one of the quickest releases ever.
Bernard pulls the trigger.
He was going to catch the ball where he wanted to. And when he got the ball and faced you up, he was in charge.
Before the games, nobody ever wanted to talk to him, including the coaches.
He's getting ready for a game. And I grabbed him and I said, man, look at this guy over here. I guess it was a celebrity. And he grabbed me and said, Rook, don't you ever, ever, ever bother me when I get prepared for a game.
There was a time in the 80s where Bernard King was the best player, hands down, in the NBA.
Bernard looking for 50, and he's got it. Back-to-back 50-point games for Bernard King.
100 points in less than 24 hours. It's hard to get 30 points back to back. It's hard to get 20 points back to back. Better get 50 points. That was special.
For a guy to put back-to-back 50-point games in that era, where defense is played much differently than it is now, that tells you something about his skill level and the type of driven player he was at the offensive end.
Bernard King is just punishing everybody in his way.
I remember watching, Game on Christmas.
60 points for Bernard King.
Bernard King, I think, is the best player in the league. Hands down.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and tell me where would you rank Bernard King on the all-time small forward list. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, and show love to the YG gang, and I'm out.
Do you know what happens if you pour sugar into a carved out onion? This is a remedy as old as.
What's up? This is Red the Bad Guy again. Another video. This video is about you have a problem. Let me know. I want to say this because yesterday I was on Grandma Control, live stream down the panel. They was talking shit. We had it out. Now I'm gonna talk about this today. When I go live and stuff, I'm gonna rant like a motherfucker today. But one thing I noticed is that this individual had a problem with me. And the thing is that I didn't know I had a problem with him. I had to find out by a third party. I had to find out by listening to somebody's panel and they were talking shit about me. This is some bullshit. And then I was on the panel yesterday asking them, okay, what deal it was. When did I say this? They can't tell me when they had a problem. They just got a problem. And it seemed like they had some dispute with somebody else on the panel. And apparently I didn't treat them fairly or some shit like that. You know what? Yo, fuck. If you can't tell me the video, you can't tell me exactly what I said, then forget about that shit. I'm not trying to hear that shit. Point blank. But look, you got a problem with me. Tell me right away if you got some beef with me or some shit. I don't want to have to find out, months down the road, a year down the road. They show up on my panel and talking shit. I'm going, okay, when did I talk beef with this individual? It seems to me that they don't want beef just to beef. And like I said, I'm trying to figure out what did I do. I probably didn't do anything. It's just that whatever happened, they didn't get their way. And they mad. Simple as that. But like I said before, other videos and stuff like that, some people it's gonna have problems with you. Simple as that. You can't please everybody. God damn, at least there's a problem. You do this on the job, if a problem arises, you handle the problem right then. You don't let it sit there and fester. Then it'll be a bigger problem. This is what is happening. Now I could have probably headed all this off if they told me there was a problem. Yeah, you said this to me, and then I said, okay, all right. I'm sorry, this and that. I could have headed off. But if you're on a panel doing some monkey shit, talking shit to people, and I side with the person that you going in on, and don't side with you, and you think that you was right, then hey, I'm sorry. Some of y'all, I kicked y'all off the panel, took your wrench away, and you're doing some bullshit from the jump. Simple as that. There's a reason. I just don't sit there and start going off on people just like that. I'm not like that. Some of these women, they was low key hating on me and said, he ain't the fat. That's why I pulled some of their shit out. That's why I said at one time, I don't want no women on the panel because it was just too much. It was always some dick going on. Be able to have a conversation. Women get in there, they don't like what the men say, so they start talking shit. I'm gonna talk about this. Me being Mr. Passive Aggressive. Oh shit. So tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Till next time, see you later.
You're